Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of Office Hours. My name is Adrian. I'm the CEO and founder of Groundhogg, and Office Hours is a time where you get to ask your questions live and get answers in real time so that we can move your business forward and you can remove roadblocks preventing you from achieving your goals. So, welcome. We are going to have an open session today, which basically just means that we don't really have a theme. We've been doing themes recently where we're tackling specific topics. However, I really wanted to focus this one just on questions and answering or helping businesses and yourselves overcome roadblocks and obstacles that you're currently facing. So feel free at any point to jump in and ask your questions live. I have on my right-hand side here, I have people saying hello. John and Jonathan both say hello. Hi, welcome to the call. But it goes to say I have on my right a list, or rather a feed of all of the comments that are getting asked or all of the questions that are getting asked during the live call. At any point, you are welcome to jump in and just start asking away. Before I start answering questions, just a few things. Number one, go ahead and type hello if you're on the call with us. Even if you don't have a question, it's just nice to say hi. We will be posting all previous or all office hours recorded to our YouTube channel as well as to the Groundhogg Academy site. We're a little bit behind on that right now simply because we're kind of, remote workstations and all that. So hopefully we're going to get those up soon, the previous two. But there are some previous office hours available on the site right now. I highly recommend you go and watch those. They're of incredible value. And let's just jump into it. Let's jump into questions. So my first question is from John Douglas. He asks, I have a challenge with registration emails not working most of the time. So I'm assuming you mean email confirmation or double opt-in emails, email confirmation emails, whatever you want to call them. And you can correct me if I'm not entirely correct here, but let's open up a WordPress site. And let's go check out a confirmation email. So I'm assuming what you're saying is that sometimes the confirmation link doesn't work and they end up on a page where it says for them to or ask them to put in their email. If you're experiencing that, that can be caused by a few things. Most likely caching is usually the issue when it comes to that. So if you have any sort of caching going on your site, we actually have an article on our help site that will tell you what pages you need to exclude and what cookies you need to exclude and all the configuration that you need to do if you have caching going on. So I think that's under developers and then caching compatibility, and there's just the one article there. So John, I am going to comment and add that link to the feed for you there. So what I'm going to have you do is, first things first, go check that out and make sure that you've excluded the appropriate pages and the appropriate cookies from caching. You may need to do this at the server level if you're not using a WordPress plugin. For example, maybe you're on WP Engine. All of their caching stuff is server level. So you're going to need to request them to make any additional changes. But if you're using a plugin, then you're going to want to make sure that you follow these steps. So try that out, John, and make sure and let us know if that helps. If not, feel free to open up a support ticket. I see Louis has joined the call. Welcome. Louis Gomez, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in and just post those in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'm not seeing any new questions come in. Again, don't be shy. This is an open session, so we're no theme, just whatever you need help with, I am here to help you. Especially, obviously Groundhogg related, but not even Groundhogg related. If it's like, so if you have issues with getting more leads maybe sales, if you have general WordPress questions, lots of options and lots of wealth of information. So I see, so Louis asks, in the last talk you showed a recurring funnel and how to get context out of it when the tag is removed. Yes, so last office hour session talked about how to create a recurring funnel, a funnel which just loops over and over and over again. We will be posting the replay to that on the Academy site soon. It's not posted yet, but hopefully we're going to be able to do that soon. For anybody who has no idea what we're talking about. But the question is, can you explain how the step works inside the funnel? Because I understood it is not in a sequence, but when a condition met no matter what step of the funnel it is. All right, so that was obviously put through a translator. So I am going to decipher it to a point where I can understand the question. So you can explain how the steps work. I'm assuming that means, can you explain how the step works inside the funnel? Because as I understood it, it's not in the sequence, but when a condition is met. All right, so what I can do, Louis, is let's just go over the recurring funnel steps. So let's go add a brand new funnel. So just a refresher from last week, the way that you can create a recurring funnel in Groundhogg is by doing the following things. So we're going to start off the funnel with a tag applied benchmark. And this can be any tag. And I am just going to add the tag start recurring funnel. We're going to save that just so it creates the tag so we can reference it in the next step, where we are going to remove the tag. So we're going to add an action, and that action is just going to remove the recurring funnel tag. And then we are going to add a couple of timers. We're going to add a couple of emails. So basically whatever we want to happen. So say, for example, we want to send a weekly email update that's just auto-generated from whatever. Then what we can do is we can set a timer, and this timer is just going to wait 1 week. And then it is going to send the email, and then it is going to apply the tag that is going to restart the recurring funnel. So here's how the recurring funnel works. The tag is applied. They get entered into the funnel because it's the first benchmark. We immediately remove the tag that was originally applied so that the contact no longer has this same tag. We then go down to the delay timer, and the delay timer will wait 1 week. It will then send them the email that we wanted them to get as a result of being in this recurring funnel. It doesn't have to be an email. It could be any variety of steps. It can be an email notification. It can be an admin notification. It can be an SMS. You can have multiple timers. You can have multiple emails. That's totally up to you. But the magic comes when we get to the end of the funnel, where we reapply the start recurring funnel tag. And what that's going to do is, since this benchmark is at the top, it's just going to shoot them right back to the top of the funnel, where they will be able to restart and re-go through all of the steps. So the question is, I think, and sorry if I totally misunderstand you, Louis, the question is, how do I get someone, or how do I remove someone from this funnel so that it just stops and I don't want them to keep going through it? So the way that you get them to just stop a funnel, or to stop any funnel really, is to just put a benchmark at the bottom. And for this, we are just going to use a tag applied benchmark. And we're going to call this tag stop recurring funnel, or whatever. So we are going to stop the recurring funnel with this tag. And what happens here is, as soon as a benchmark is completed, then all of the previous steps, so all of these green actions, all of those steps are skipped, and the contact is pulled right down to this place, at which nothing happens after that last benchmark, which means they can't get the tag to restart the funnel, so they are now out of the funnel. The only way that they can now restart this funnel is if someone, an admin, or they get a tag which says start recurring funnel somewhere else in Groundhogg, either through another funnel or by manually adding it, or maybe through a form, or however you want to do that. But the important thing is, Louis, that we put the benchmark at the bottom that says stop recurring funnel, which means that if this benchmark is completed, there's nothing after it, which means that they will never receive the apply tag here because they're probably just stuck at the delay timer or something. And that means that they can't complete this benchmark, which means that they're basically just stuck here and funnel's over. That's it. So it's not super complicated, but I can understand how it could be confusing the first time around. Basically, it just means that if they are here, they can't get the apply tag. They can't restart the funnel. So please let me know if that answers your question, Louis. I'd love to make sure that you get it. So for the benefit of not only yourself, but for everybody. So thank you for that, Louis. Please, if anybody else has any questions, then don't be shy. Just drop them in the comments area. We are here up until around 3:30, 3:45 to remove roadblocks in the way of success for the user group and everybody who is using Groundhogg right now. Louis, I don't know what you mean by space, but oh wait, I gotta understand. So yeah, Louis, so basically you would be on standby essentially because you'd just be at that point in the funnel where you wouldn't be moving forward. So it's kind of like being on standby. Groundhogg will actually consider that funnel as basically completed at that point. So you'll actually see that you're no longer active in the funnel at that point because you're technically done because you're at the last step. But you can also consider it like being on standby. So you're basically finished the funnel at that point. The only way that you can get back into the funnel is by reapplying the stop recurring funnel tag, which will no longer happen automatically because you're past that step. Hopefully that makes sense. Hi, Kev. Welcome to the call. If you have a question, feel free to drop that in the comments area. We are answering questions all day long, or at least for the next 15 to 20 minutes. You're welcome, Louis. And by the way, if there's just like long pauses in between you asking a question and me answering it, that is because there's around a 15 to 20 second delay of words coming out of my mouth to you actually seeing them on Facebook. That's just the way that the live stream works. So I apologize in advance if there's just like long pauses. Alrighty, I'm not seeing any new questions drop in, although I do see one from Paul. And Paul asks, I recently set up a Facebook lead ads funnel using the Zap listener. Do I need to test it more than once because the first few times it did not work? Did it work eventually? I can understand if it didn't work the first few times because, you're setting stuff up and whatnot. But if you got it to a point where it was successful, then you do not likely need to test it any more than that. You might just want to test it for the sake of being sure. That's kind of up to you. 2 or 3 times, and you're probably, if it works every time after that, it's probably rock solid. Zapier will inform you if there's an issue. So Zapier will actually send you an email if the Zap listener fails for whatever reason. And usually when it does that, it will return an error code, at which point Zapier will inform you to say, hey, listen, your Zap isn't working right now. So you might want to double check on that and just to make sure. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. If you got it to work at least a couple times, then you should be okay. Kev asks, I'm doing a ton of lead magnet downloads. Awesome. I love lead magnet downloads. How can I set it up so when, and then the question trails off into an unfathomable depthness because I don't think he was able to finish it before he pressed enter. So Kev, I'm waiting for the second part of your question, at which point I will be able to answer it. Paul has a follow-up. So once the connection is made successfully, it should be fine. Yes, it should be fine if you have it working at least a couple of times and all the fields are mapped and all of that stuff. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Again, Zapier will inform you if there is an issue. Kev, I just want to make sure that we get the second part of your question. Because it stopped mid-sentence, so I'm not sure. Maybe your computer died or your phone died or something. So I'm just looking out. I'm not forgetting about you, but I am looking out for the second part of your question. Questions of all types, size, and shapes, and here is the follow-up. How can I set it up so that they don't have to fill out the form a bazillion times, and will it keep adding to contacts or keep only one? So here's the thing about Groundhogg forms. So currently we do not enable forms to be pre-filled when clicking links or anything like that. It's a low-level security thing. We just don't want to accidentally expose customer information. This has been a problem for me in previous software with caching and stuff, and it creates a host of problems if you do that. However, that being said, if a contact clicks a link in an email, they get something called the Groundhogg tracking cookie, and they can visit your site and the cookie will be with them. And what that means is that you can actually create forms without an email or first name or last name field. And if they submit that form without any of those fields, then Groundhogg will attempt to actually find the tracking cookie that contact has associated with them and use that to submit the form so that they don't have to refill their information. Say, for example, I send someone to, or I have a form that they have, or that's in an account area, so like a login account area, like my account. You can create a form, maybe just with some additional information, or you want to collect additional information, like their address maybe. You do not have to add first name, last name, phone number, and email address because we already have that information, and it's going to reference the tracking cookie and get that information and update the contact record appropriately. Hopefully that makes sense. However, with that in mind, here is what I would recommend if you have multiple lead magnet downloads and you want to send multiple lead magnet downloads to contacts who sign up. So Kev, if you have collected somebody's information previously, as you've so eloquently pointed out, you do not necessarily need to collect it again. So what we like to do in that case is simply ask them or send them an email that says, would you like this also? And what you can do for that is let's open up a lead magnet download funnel. We have a lead magnet download funnel right here. Perfect. Now what you can do for that, Kev, is you can add at the top of a funnel where the form is, you can add a tag applied benchmark, and then you can use the tag requested lead magnet A or whatever for whatever lead magnet that you're sending. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that. So now what happens, this funnel can either be started by someone filling out a web form or someone getting this tag applied to them. Down in your confirmation email step, you're going to want to enable the skip if confirmed, because if they've already gone through a lead magnet funnel, they've probably already confirmed their email, which means we don't need to confirm it a second time. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go out, and I am going to open up my plugins area because I need to go enable my advanced features plugin. So you're going to need the advanced features installed for this, because what we're going to do is we're going to make use of superlinks. So let's go back to Groundhogg, and when the advanced features is enabled, we're going to go add a new superlink, and we're going to call it request lead magnet A or whatever your lead magnet was. And then we are going to set the target URL to our actual download. So I am just going to go onto Google Images and get a really pretty image to use as my download. There we go. That's a great picture right there. So let's grab a picture of our groundhog here. And we're going to copy the image address because I'm just using this as an example as a download URL. But you can add your download URL or whatever the lead magnet URL is to the target URL area. And then when someone clicks that, we are going to requested lead magnet A. And we are going to add that super link. And then when we send them this, we can just send them this in a broadcast email. We can send them this as a follow-up email. We can do lots of things. But whenever they click this link, they will be both added to that lead magnet download funnel, and they will be actually able to download the lead magnet right away and get the tag. So it's kind of like a 3-in-1 whammy. So they'll get the email that says, thanks for requesting X lead magnet download, and they'll get all of the follow-up emails. They'll get the download of the lead magnet right away because, hey, we already have their contact information, and we can apply a tag to them that says, hey, they requested whatever lead magnet. So that's a really simple way to kind of like kill 3 birds with 1 stone. So when they click this link, again, they get added to the funnel, they get the lead magnet and all of these good things. And you can send this URL in an email follow-up from the original lead magnet download. You can send it in a broadcast email to anybody who hasn't downloaded it previously. There are lots of ways that you can send out this link. So Kev, that is an easy way to do that. Hopefully that answers your question, and hopefully that's helpful. Louis asks, can you explain the integration of Groundhogg with WooCommerce? Can you elaborate that just a little bit more? I am happy to go through like a full demo, but if you have a specific question that you want answered about the WooCommerce integration, then that would be more helpful to me to answer for you. So if you can elaborate a little bit more on what you want to know about the WooCommerce integration, go ahead and comment that, and I will try to be as specific as possible. Kev has a follow-up question. How would I do that and still capture the first-time visitors? Okay, so for the first-time visitors, you just send them and direct them to the form. You're not going to use a super link to capture first-time visitors because super links are only for people who are already on your list. So for first-time visitors, you're just going to use the regular old web form and get their contact information the old-fashioned way. And then for anybody who's already on your list, you send them an email with a super link in it, and that will allow them to download your lead magnets. Hopefully that makes sense. So first-time visitors, you still need to do all the web forms and all of that stuff. But you can also use super links for anybody who's already on your list because, as you know, and as you asked, we do not need to collect their information multiple times to get multiple lead magnets. So hopefully that makes sense. John asks, where are the managed pages listed? So the managed pages, if you're not familiar and you're maybe new to Groundhogg, is we have lots of managed pages which allow us to make the preferences center and various other kind of bits and bobs. Is it profile? You know what? I'm going to do it. There we go. Okay. So we have this managed page, which allows us to kind of create standardized pages that look something like this, which have all of the email preferences and the GDPR stuff and all of that, hosted forms, the calendar extension, all of that stuff is put on what we call the managed page. Now, the managed page isn't actually listed anywhere. That is why it's called the managed page, because it's entirely managed by the Groundhogg plugin, and it's extremely difficult to edit it. And we made it that way on purpose because it's a compliance thing and we don't want anybody to really mess with it because it works the way that it's supposed to, essentially. You can translate, if you need to change text, you can translate it using something called Loco-Translate. And I actually just wrote the other day in an article which tells you how to translate it. So let's go do that. I'll go grab that article really quickly. So if you need to change the text for any reason, I'm going to pop that in there into the comments so you can go grab that link. But you can't edit the content. You can edit the styling to a degree. This page and all of the managed pages load CSS from the customizer. So if I go to customize by clicking on the theme customizer, and hopefully it loads sometime this century. It's because I'm on my production site, which I really shouldn't be, but hey. If you go to the additional CSS area in the customizer, all of this stuff is loaded on this screen. So if I wanted to change maybe the border color of the main kind of thing here, the main div here, I can actually do that. So by copying the classes here and making a few edits, let's say I want to make the border a little bit more defined. Right? So any CSS that's added to the customizer is loaded on this page. So you can use that to edit some styling elements, but the content is pretty much what you see is what you get. So hopefully that answers your question, John, about what the managed page is. It's entirely controlled by Groundhogg and all of the permalinks, and you mentioned yeah, so exactly. So it's all of the pages that have the /GH in there. So if I exit this, I do not want to save my changes because that would be weird. So if I go back to here, you'll see that GH is in the URL. So anything that has that GH in it is a Groundhogg managed page. So exactly that. Hopefully that answers your question, John. Kev has another question. Webinars and online classes. This is always a fun one. Webhooks boggling. Trying to capture emails from live webinar or Acuity scheduling. Can you explain how it works with webhooks? And absolutely I can. So the webhook listener is a benchmark. So let's go add a new funnel. Start from scratch. So Kev, what you're going to want to do is when you're starting the funnel and you're trying to get information from your live webinar or whatever software you're using, you're going to scroll right to the bottom of the benchmarks area. And I think the last one is going to be called the webhook listener. So we're going to go in and we're going to go ahead and add that to our funnel. And what we can do is we can then copy this URL and whatever the tool of choice that you're using, maybe like Zapier live webinar itself, we can copy this URL and then add that to their webhooks section. So let's say I was using, for the sake of example, Zapier, or what's a webhook tool that I can, outgoing webhook test. Is there a tool that I can quickly Google that will work? I doubt it. So let's go to Zapier. And maybe we will quickly set this up. Okay. Let's, what is, if I click make zap, I don't use Zapier very often, and that might show, so maybe this was actually a terrible idea, but we'll see. So let's say that you get a incoming, add a line to a Google Sheet maybe. So let's see, new spreadsheet row, continue. I am going to select a random spreadsheet. It's going to make me go through the whole process. Okay. Well, we're too far into it now to give up. Okay, so there we go. So we have a sheet, and we're going to have to choose some sort of spreadsheet here. So there's lots of them. I am going to choose a random one because it doesn't really matter. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do a post request. So let's do post. Is this premium now? Yeah, so Webhook, we're going to go to post action. And then here you can pretend that it's like Acuity or a live webinar or whatever, but typically they'll allow you to add a webhook. And what you can do is you can add the URL of the webhook, which I did not copy. So if I go back to my webhook area, I am going to copy this URL from the webhook listener, and then I'm going to add that. And I did not copy it a second time. Control C, there we go. There you go. We're going to add that URL here, and then you can configure the information generally that you want to send. And when that's sent to here, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to map the fields, and we're going to be able to say, all right, first name maps to first name, email maps to email, and all of those various different things. So that is exactly how you want to do it. So the webhook listener is what you need in order to accomplish what you're looking for, Kev. And that was a very long-winded way, and Zapier was a whole other thing that I probably should have just left out. But you know what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of a better article that explains this process. We actually have one, which is about connecting two WordPress websites together with webhooks, but it has the portion of how to set up the webhook listener in it. And I am going to include that article here. So it's in tutorials, how to connect Groundhogg on 2 different sites. So Kev, give this one a once over. And it has how the webhook listener works in it. So what I would do is I would just give it a once over, and hopefully that will help you set it up with Acuity. And if not, I think we're going to try and get some more documentation on the webhook listener into the help area so that we can explain that a little bit better. Let's move to Louis. Louis asks, can you please explain the benchmarks for WooCommerce, the WooCommerce integration with Groundhogg? Absolutely. So the WooCommerce integration is pretty straightforward. And what it does is it allows you to start and do automation based on actions within WooCommerce. So if a customer like purchases products, a product is refunded, upsells, all that kind of stuff. So let's go to our e-commerce segment here. And WooCommerce, the OG, the first one we made. So basically the benchmarks are as follows. So if someone purchases a product, if a product is added to the cart, so if you have their contact information, the tracking cookie is enabled, you'll be able to track if something is added to the person's cart, if they reached the checkout page, so they've actually, like in your sales funnel, they've reached the checkout area, and or they've emptied the cart, so they've removed the items from their cart. And there's actually one that's not listed here that was added recently, and that is the order status change benchmark, which has all other sorts of stuff. So you can track what payment gateway they used. You can track what status of the order is. So if it's like fulfilled, if it's completed, if it's pending, if it's on hold, if it's been refunded, lots of cool stuff there. And as you would imagine, these are all just benchmarks that are added, and you can play with them directly within the funnel builder. So the product added to cart there is an example for you. If you have more questions about the WooCommerce integration, I'd recommend that you actually just check out the WooCommerce page. I don't have enough time on this session to do a full demo at this point. But what we can do is, if you can wait till next week, then we can do a full demo of the WooCommerce integration. But that, I would recommend checking this WooCommerce, and I think we have some help in doc information about it as well. Let me just go double check that. So if I go to extensions, WooCommerce, right there. Yeah, there it is. So what you can do is I would check out the WooCommerce integration documentation as well. Lots of valuable information there. Stuff about replacement codes, about the benchmarks, obviously, and about setting up a cart abandonment funnel. So you should probably check that out. Kev asks, in regards to, I'm assuming his question about live webinars, /Acuity, can it be done without Zapier? It should be able to be done without Zapier if the software you're using supports webhooks directly. So you can set up and create a webhook from that software to Groundhogg. If they don't do that, then there's not much we can do to help. What you might want to do is you might want to message our advanced support people, and we might be able to help you out with that a little bit more advanced. So I would message our support people with your situation and the software that you're using, and hopefully we'll be able to provide a little bit more advanced guidance than we would be able to on this call. So we are approaching the 3:41 mark, and that is a pretty good length for office hours generally. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes, and if you have any more questions within those few minutes, I'll be happy to answer them, and then I'm going to stop taking questions, and we're going to start wrapping up this office hours. So last call for questions regarding Groundhogg, sales, marketing, copywriting, email marketing, WordPress, you name it, we got it, and we can help. Last call. Jonathan says, what about my scheduling question? And I don't think I saw a scheduling question. And I totally did miss it, so I am so sorry, Jonathan. So Jonathan asks, have you got any recommendations connected to developing a Groundhogg funnel that leads to getting a lead to book a face-to-face Zoom using scheduling SaaS or WordPress plugin? So Jonathan, we have lots in that area. We have the Groundhogg Booking Calendar, which integrates with both Zoom and your Google Calendar. If you're not familiar with this little piece of software, then what you can do is you can check out Groundhogg/downloads Booking Calendar. It's a nice little piece of software, and I've just gone ahead and added that to the chat section. And you can, what I would do is if you have a funnel and you want people to book an appointment, what you can do is you can just send them a link to a page where you can embed this booking calendar, and then it'll have their information in there so they can fill out their information. They can choose a time slot, and then you can also connect that calendar to a Google Calendar, so your personal Google Calendar, so all of the events get added and availability matches up and whatnot. And you can also connect your Zoom account, so it'll automatically create Zoom meetings based on the length of the appointment that you have in the calendar. So super nice and super simple. Again, you can get that right here if you have an All Access Pass or any sort of Pro plan. It's included, and all of that service is available to you. Kev asks, what is the WordPress site again for rave reviews? They were down last time I tried. I'm not sure what you mean, Kev, about rave reviews. There are lots of review sites, and I'll talk about reviewing Groundhogg in a little bit, but you're going to have to elaborate a little bit more on what you mean. I don't quite understand. John asks, can you put a test in so we could know what cookies were an issue? Have it checked for certain plugins or warn us with more intuitive interaction. I like the help file and asked the host to fix those cookies, but spent a month and didn't get emails we wanted at a webinar because it was not working. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe it's just been a long day for me, but it's kind of going over my head here. So let me just read that again quickly. Oh, I understand. So, okay. John, I totally hear you. And I think that, showing warnings when those things happen would totally be helpful. It's difficult, though, to know when something should be happening and when something should not be happening. When it comes to caching, caching generally prevents us knowing any of that useful information. So we have automated testing built into Groundhogg. Before we obviously make releases or anything, but caching is not included in those automated testing because you can't have caching on local automated testing. That kind of defeats the purpose. What you're experiencing wasn't necessarily anything that was broken, but just an issue in configuration for your caching scenario. So I wish you had maybe perhaps just contacted us earlier about this issue, and that way we could have sent you that information to avoid that. We'll look into seeing how we can, improve that in the future. And I'm sorry that was an issue for you. But I'm glad that now you have it resolved at least, which is great. And we had that article is available to you at any point should you need to go grab it in the future. Okay, so we're at the 45-minute mark. I think that's a really, really good length for office hours. So we're going to start wrapping it up here. So if you need additional help with Groundhogg, we have lots of ways for you to get help. So number one is you should absolutely go to groundhoggacademy.io or academy.groundhogg.io rather. We have courses, and of course, office hours are recorded and then reposted there. So you should go check that out. Next, if you need implementation help, you should absolutely be working with one of our awesome certified partners. The Certified Partner Directory is available to you to search for someone in your local area or maybe somewhere in an area that you want to work with. You can see their expertise and lots of other good stuff. So go to the Certified Partner Directory available to learn more about how partners can help you. And finally, if you have any colleagues or maybe a business partner, or just someone that you know, maybe a family member who they have a business which you can think benefit from using Groundhogg, then we will reward you for any purchases that they make. You can sign up for our affiliate. You can sign up through our affiliate registration. You can earn 10% commissions, and it's awesome. So you can go to affiliate-area/registration to become an affiliate. Finally, you should absolutely follow us on both Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, where we are posting our office hours. We release status updates and blog updates through Twitter, and Groundhogg WP, same thing, status updates, blog updates, and you should like us so that we have a nice high like counter on Facebook. If you are enjoying the service, you are enjoying our community, you are enjoying office hours, and most of all, the product is helping you achieve a goal, then I would be extremely grateful if you would take a few minutes of your day-to-day and you'd go to our WordPress.org repository listing and leave a review. Reviews mean we can get more customers, which means more developers, which means more features that you love. If you have any other questions, I am sorry in advance if I was not able to cover it on the call. We try to keep these office hour sessions short and sweet. But you are able to continue to post your questions in the Facebook group. That's what the Facebook group is for. You can get the community involved and get help from our awesome power users. You can also reach out to us at Groundhogg WP on both Facebook and Twitter, and you can message our advanced support team if you have an advanced support license. That's it for today. I hope everyone is staying safe, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Thank you, and have a great day.